Here's a piece of information, I think, a piece of advice that's always very useful for husbands. So you need to clarify when your wife is bringing you a big problem. Because whenever she's upset about something, a man will tend to hear that as, well, she's having a problem, I could solve the problem. Rarely is she bringing you a problem that needs a solution. More likely, she's just sharing with you what's upsetting to her. So it's a good question to ask, are we just sharing or are we problem solving? Because if we're sharing, so shut up. Listen. That's your job.
You said it's a good question to ask or to figure out yourself?
To figure out yourself, but you might as well ask so you'll maybe develop better instincts later. Because we're so clueless. I mean, we just don't understand the language that women speak. I also have a daughter in the house, and the two of them will be talking about, it's fine. When a woman says it's fine, so it's not fine. But what exactly is not fine and what exactly you're supposed to do about it, I still don't know, and I've been working on this problem for decades. But it's interesting, a friend and I who lives in New York are learning Pirkei Avos together for the elevation of the neshama of our friend David Ben Chaim, and the neshama ben Aliyah. And just today, this morning, we were on this subject, right? So this is Mishnah number 5 in chapter 1 of Pirkei Avos, which says, do not converse excessively with a woman. And this is about your wife. And Kal Vachomer, how much more so a woman who's not your wife? So how can you say don't engage in excessive conversation with your wife? Aren't you supposed to listen? Answer, exactly. You're supposed to listen, not talk excessively. The more you listen, the better the conversation is going to go. And by the way, this is also good advice for anyone who's applying for a job. If you're in a job interview, your job is to get the interviewer talking about him or herself. Because no one really remembers what's said in an interview, but the more they talk about themselves, the more they'll remember it was a very intelligent conversation.
Wow, that's very interesting. How we're programmed?
Yes, because I think we're programmed, to be that hunter-gatherer, problem solver, builder, fixer, doer. And women perhaps are more programmed to be empathic and sharing, and to talk a thing through from every angle before taking action. And that's why a husband and wife team is the strongest economic unit that there is, because you really do need both approaches. The guy who's always ready, I got a solution, let's go, And then now that one didn't work so well, but now I'll know better for next time. Maybe there won't be a next time. So there's definitely a time when you need a little more analysis and looking at it from every angle, and you would benefit from talking it through like that. But there's also times when enough talk. It's time for action. But I think because we're wired to make a decision and go, we start to get irked and irritated when the thing is being talked through from every angle, and when didn't we have this conversation yesterday? Didn't we have this conversation before? Why are we having it again? And again, it's not the same. The words sound the same, but we're different every day, and women know that instinctively, and that's why we need to have that conversation again. So I think that's one of the reasons it's difficult to listen. Another is, I think it's a problem of smart people. Everyone thinks that they're smart. And the thing is, let's say you really are smart. So your brain is quick. So somebody in front of you is talking, and you kind of know where they're headed. So then you start to think, okay, well, when they finally wind up the point that they're making, I can bring in this very clever story, or I can bring in this very clever point, I can bring in this very clever argument. And so we're just waiting for our turn in the conversation, and rehearsing what we're going to say. And if that's what we're doing, we're surely not hearing what the person in front of us is saying. And maybe we're right that we can sum up what they're going to say and how they're going to say it and the importance of what they're saying. And maybe we're wrong. And whether we're right or wrong, people sense when you're waiting your turn in the conversation and that they're not really being heard. And now you're introducing unnecessary friction. So that doesn't mean it's easy to tune in and not wait to say your clever thing. But it's a practice that we need to work on the same way we lift weights and run miles and daven in the morning. And it's a practice. You got to get better at it.